Welcome back, blade fans. It's Kizer time again. And I managed to get a new one for a very good price from White Mountain Knives. Apparently this was a return. It was said to have some smoke odor to it. Didn't really notice any. Cleaned it off really well anyway. And here it is. Otherwise in pristine condition. Not even otherwise. So this is a design by Marshall Noble, I understand, for Kizer knives. It is a really neat kind of tactical combat oriented blade, but at the same time very decorative with all of that sculpted milling on the handle. It sports an S35VN blade, and we'll get into some specs momentarily. By the way, little problem I had last few knives that I weighed up, and thank you very much to one of my viewers for pointing it out that my scale was most likely off. So every time I bitched and moaned about maybe Blade HQ being off in their weight or some other online retailer, it was probably my problem. So new batteries in the scale, put a 50-gram weight on there, calibrated it, and I think we're in business. So we'll do a couple of checks here after I give the specs from Blade HQ. But as I said, let's take a look first. I don't want to deprive you and send you right into boredom town. Let's see what we got here. First of all, an incredibly artfully milled, carved looking handle that does add some grip to an otherwise slick titanium surface. We've got a clip point, nice belly blade with a very usable finger choil that doesn't bite you. You can get a finger in there with no problem. Just don't push forward. They did a pretty good job with the heel of that edge, so I'm not too concerned. Almost, and we're starting to use that term again, almost a reverse tanto, right? Except tantos don't have a big bowed back like that. Real interesting, almost reverse screwdriver look to the pommel. I'm going to back out a little because we're not hitting focus. There we go. A lanyard hole. Useful striking pommel, as I said. Nice jimping. Got enough flat there over the swedge on the spine to lay the thumb out flat and get a very good collie style grip, or regular hammer grip, or you're going to have to keep your thumb over to the side. That's not the most comfortable position for the thumb with that forked kind of four-pronged skull crusher. The clip's amazing. Look at that. It is a massive wide clip sculpted to fit right in with the handle. I had to work on it a little bit. What I do is slip a piece of paper under there, take a thick putty knife or scraper, and very gently, gradually, a little at a time, flex it up. And now it actually will slide onto the pants pocket, and there's no gap. But before, it ain't getting on any pocket. It was not sliding into the pocket, let alone sliding out. So we're good now. Nice contour, very ergo friendly. got a nice swell for your palm there. I think no matter what size your hand, you're going to do okay. I have medium-large hands, and I got a little bit left over. This will also work well if you hold it like this. You've got use of that as a non-lethal striking weapon. A very tall, unjimped flipper. No problem actuating it, but you may not like how proud that stands. That is up there. Doesn't really seem to get in the way in the pocket, however, but that's something you may or may not like. Alright, so here come the specs, and they are overall length of 8.375 inches, 3.5 inch blade, 3.5 inch cutting edge, 1.125 inch blade width, a blade thickness of 0.13 inches, CPM S35VN steel, clip point, flat grind, stonewash, plain edge, handle length is 4.75. What else we got? And they say weight is 4.52 ounces, 4.52. And just to test the old scale out, let's see what I get. Drum roll, please. Well, I get a little less. 4.495. So, what were they saying? They were saying 4.52. You know, I think we're right in the ballpark. I'm not going to complain. I'll call the manufacturer correct. But the Vindicator, right? By the name, you know, you would think that this is something that you want to engage some bad guys with, but I see it also as a really well done EDC. Very useful belly on that blade. I'm going to bring out a recently reviewed Kizer. And this is the Inyan. And you're going to see that that guy is longer for sure. That's a 9-inch knife. And something else entirely out of titanium, reviewed recently. The Aurora by Crystal. Designed by Ivan Braganitz. And this is pretty much the same size knife. Pivot to pivot, maybe a tiny bit longer in the blade. If we're calling that 3.5, I think this is coming in about, what is this coming in at? Well, it's coming in at like, yeah, 3.6, 3.65. Beautiful knife, by the way. And worth the wait. Not sure if they're still available. So this feels very light and lively to me. Doesn't even feel like 4.5 ounces. But indeed, was pretty much 4.5 on my scale, and 4.5 is the spec that was given. This knife came out at the 2018 Blade Show, by the way, so this is nothing new. New to me. I have seen it around, and kind of suits my fancy. I like that reinforced sort of clip point tip with lots of cutting edge and a useful choil. You know, if they gave that cutting edge at also 3.5, that's kind of interesting. So I think it's a little less than 3.5, folks. The blade's definitely 3.5, but the cutting edge is a little less. I'm going to call it like a 3.35, something like that. Because you got to lose some edge when you see that the choil obviously takes up some of the blade. What else can we show you? A very plain backspacer, ample lanyard hole, only 2 screws plus the pivot holding them together, hardened steel insert, smooth, not exactly totally drop shutty, but I worked on it a little bit. Runs on bearings, yes, most Kizers do, except for some of the budget line. But just a really interesting carved eye candy sort of knife that is still sturdy, robust, and very usable for EDC. I don't think you need to baby this guy. Hope you enjoyed this review. Don't forget to give it a like and subscribe if you haven't already. This old sword, signing out. Catch you soon.